The forge is hot. Let's get to work. It is Friday, the 7th of August, 2026. This morning at 8:30, this market receives the one number it has argued about all week. And it arrives with nearly every asset on our board already stretched to its limit. Start with the anchor. As of 5 o'clock this morning, Eastern, Bitcoin trades at 64,600, down about 0.3%, flat, holding the shelf it built yesterday. Our engine still carries it green, standing beside the broad market, the Nasdaq and gold. The regime reads risk on and pointed up on our read of the InvestAnswers Decision Support System. But there is one red anchor this morning where yesterday there were none. The long bond rolled bearish on our board. No mystery there. Thursday, the 10-year yield pushed to 4.67%. Oil climbed to $83 a barrel on trouble around the Strait of Hormuz, and the Dow gave back 0.9%, snapping its record run. Now, the part that matters most. Look one layer beneath the trend model at mean reversion. Different instruments entirely. Optimized trend tells you which way a thing is going. Mean reversion tells you how far it has run without resting. This morning, every single green anchor on our board reads overbought. The broad market, the Nasdaq, gold, Bitcoin, all four. And the long bond reads overbought inside its own downtrend. Then the closing bell rendered the same verdict on the buildout. At 4 o'clock Thursday afternoon and the minute after it, 8 names printed mean reversion overbought inside 90 seconds. 7 of them were the same trade. Dell, Arista, Cisco, Teradyne, Freeport McMoran, General Electric, Eaton, servers, networking, semiconductor test equipment, copper, turbines, and power management. That is not a sector. That is the entire physical layer of the artificial intelligence build-out, the picks, the shovels, the copper, and the switchgear. Flags stretched in 90 seconds. Solana's trend rolled red at that same bell, the one major coin on our board moving against the grain while Bitcoin held green. Hear clearly what overbought is and is not. It is not a sell signal. Things stay overbought for months in a real bull market, and selling every overbought print is the fastest way ever devised to miss a decade. What it says is narrower and far more useful. A great deal of good news is already inside the price. The move has been paid for in advance. The next surprise does not get graded on a curve, and the next surprise lands this morning, the July payroll report. Consensus wants somewhere near 83 to 85,000 jobs, unemployment holding at 4.2%. Wednesday's private payroll read came in at 44,000, barely half what the street wanted, the weakest in 6 months. Now the setup almost nobody has priced correctly. Understand what this Federal Reserve actually did on the 29th of July. It held rates at 3.5 to 3.75%, but the vote was 9-3. And the 3 dissents were not doves. Hammack, Kashkari, and Logan voted to raise. 3 regional presidents on the record calling for a hike into a visibly slowing labor market because oil is running and they fear inflation more than they fear unemployment. So read the asymmetry. A weak number this morning does not simply mean easier money the way it did for 15 years. It means a labor market cracking underneath a central bank with 3 governors arguing for tighter. And a strong number hands those same 3 the microphone. That is why the long bond is red while stocks are green. The bond market is not confused. It is telling you the old reflex is broken. Now, to the event, this market spent 2 months dreading, which arrived yesterday and did nothing. On Tuesday, I marked the date for you, the 6th of August, the first tranche of the SpaceX lockup, roughly 911.5 million insider shares, the first 20% of the company, becoming legally sellable for the first time in its history. The largest supply event in the young life of this stock, landing into a name already down some 40% from its June high and below its own offering price. The flood did not come. SpaceX closed up about 6% at $114. Understand why that is informative rather than merely pleasant. A lockup expiry is the cleanest experiment a market ever runs. You take the people who know the most about a business, the employees, the early backers, hand them the keys on a published date, and watch what they do. Everyone else's opinion is talk. This is the one morning insiders answer with their positions instead of their words. They largely held. ARK bought it again on the way through, adding better than 180,000 more shares across its latest disclosures. Though in fairness, their flagship fund is down roughly 2.75% on the year, against a broad market up better than 12%. Conviction is being tested in public. But do not let me sell you a bounce as a bottom, because our own engine will not. SpaceX's optimized trend is still bearish. It rolled red Wednesday afternoon and has not flipped back. And after a 6% day, mean reversion now reads overbought. A stretch bounce inside a downtrend. A real and common thing, and not the same animal as a reversal. The supply gate opened without a stampede. That removes a fear. It does not repair a trend, nor is the calendar finished. Late September brings successive employee releases. By the end of October, roughly a third of this company is expected to be floating. The final gate opens the 8th of December. Yesterday was the first test, not the last. Set one more chart beside it, because our board drew the mirror image at that same bell. Advanced Micro Devices, beaten down after its quarterly print, punished not for revenue, which was a record, but for margin and capital spending, flipped its optimized trend bullish while mean reversion still reads oversold. Trend turning up, still coiled. SpaceX, trend down, fully stretched. Two names, opposite signals, one bell. That is precisely what the signal layer is for. One last thing, and it is the quietest number on this page. While all of that noise played out, Bitcoin's supply kept walking out of the market. Long-term holders now control roughly 16.62 million coins. That is an all-time high. Wallets holding between 10 and 10,000 coins added better than 19,600 of them in the week following the 29th of July. And in that same window, the smallest wallets, under 1/100th of a coin, the true retail tail, shrank by about 0.5%. The patient are buying what the impatient are selling. That is what the bottom of every cycle looks like from the inside, and it has never once felt good while it was happening. 21 million coins, no chair, no committee, no ceremony. Jordi Visser published a piece this week worth carrying past today's headlines. His frame is double debasement. Fiat printing dilutes your currency. Artificial intelligence dilutes every corporate moat, because a machine that compresses the lifespan of an advantage does to equity what a printing press does to money. Bitcoin resists both. It never had a moat to lose and never had a printer bolted to it. But the second-order idea is the one to hold. As machines increasingly allocate capital, they will score assets on what a machine can actually verify. Provable scarcity, liquidity, settlement speed, censorship resistance, not story, not brand, not a slide deck and a confident voice. Every asset you own is about to be graded by something completely immune to narrative. Set that against this morning's board. 8 build-out names stretched, 4 green anchors overbought, a bond market pricing a hike into a slowdown, all of it narrative, and all of it able to reprise on a single number at 8:30. 16.62 million coins have already given their answer, so carry this into the session, Warband. Do not confuse a stretched board with a broken one, and never confuse relief with reversal. Overbought means the good news is already paid for, not that the trend is finished. When that payroll number lands, the reaction will tell you far more than the number itself, because a board wound this tight has no room left to be politely surprised. This is Warband as a service, Viking intelligence delivered in real time. I am Ragnar, the HODLBARBARIan. The impatient will trade this morning's number. The patient already owned the answer. Skål.